Cheers. So this is the ship of today's episode.
I'm Janine.
Oh, I'm Kaylin.
And you can see our ice cream of choice.
We're the Lady Schmillers.
We're the Schmady Schmillers.
Schmady Schmiller. The real straight Slim Schmady.
The real Schmim. We're done, and I'm so tired. I'm always tired. To be honest, when we're filming these videos, I'm just always tired. But we're here. We're going to talk about some cults today.
Cults are our favorite.
I really like sad. They're not as sad. They're not as bummery.
Maybe we'll just move on to
goofy,
cults.
Kind of funny. So here we go. This is good for me because you can just tell me the story and I can keep on eating my ice cream, but you can't eat your ice cream while you're telling the story, so.
I'll just take huge breaks. So I'm just like, let me tell you a tale. Let me weave you a lesson.
Weave me a weave. Match me a match. Okay, what you got for us today, Caitlin?
I'm going to tell you about a cult called Gloriavale.
Gloriavale.
Gloria Schmale.
Schmoria Schmale.
Schmale. Okay. And most of the information I got is from someone that survived this cult. I mean, survived as no one died, but essentially escaped. And she is a granddaughter of the founder of the cult. Her name is Lilia Tarawa. Tarawa. She had a TED Talk called I Survived a Cult, and it was heaven or hell. We'll link it down below. It's an amazing TED Talk. She also does a ton of interviews. Gloriavale is a small Christian group based on the Hauperi on the west coast of the South Island of New Zealand.
Ooh.
So the population of the group is between about 550 to 600 members, and the group was founded in 1969. By Neville Cooper, an Australian-born evangelist. He was also known as the Flying Missionary because he traveled between the United Kingdom and Australia and New Zealand. So he would just fly around. He was very practical. He based many of his ideas in Gloriavale on evangelical churches he had seen in the United States, specifically Billy Graham. Neville Cooper, Australian, was invited out near Christchurch, which is in New Zealand. He then founded what became known as the Springbark Christian Community near Christchurch in the South Island. He had a disagreement with some of the church members in Christchurch, and then he moved everyone out who agreed with him to the west coast of the island. When the community grew too big for its property, the members bought land on the west coast and shifted there over a period from 1991 to 1995. This is just a brief overview of the cult. I'm going to get into more details.
I mean, it's still pretty recent.
It was founded in 1969, and then it's still operating to this day.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's still operating. They named their new property in the Hauperi Valley Gloriavale. It used to be a Springbark Christian Community, and they established the Gloriavale Christian Community. The property is about 60 kilometers inland from Greymouth. The cult was named after Cooper's first wife, Gloria. So, The cult does not practice birth control. So Cooper sired. I don't know why I used that verb, but I used sired.
I think it's right.
No, it's a correct one. It just sounds like he's a dog that we're breeding. It's fine.
It's fine.
So he sired 16 children with Gloria.
Honey.
Large families were...
just a Gloria?
Yeah.
Oh,
Poor
honey.
Gloria. Poor Gloria. Anyway, large families were and remain pretty common in Gloriavale. In fact, you're kind of expected to just pop them.
Oh my God.
Neville Cooper is the ultimate head of the church. This is a depiction given by their booklet on this leadership structure. He and 3 other shepherds are responsible for the main spiritual and material decisions. Other leaders called servants take responsibility in managing the community's 6 companies, the school, early childhood centers, and aspects of our daily spiritual and practical life. I didn't change it, and I literally said our. I'm being brainwashed. It's fine. There are now 11 shepherds as of April 2015, and only men may serve as leaders. So essentially, this is an incredibly fundamentalist church on its surface, which that's not a cult.
Right.
A cult is not just being a fundamentalist Christian.
Right.
That doesn't work.
Right. It's getting a little ulty. Let's go.
They lived in a communal hostel. Communes are always a little...
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Anyway, that's all I can say.
That's a good way to put it.
Foam mattresses are in their bunk beds, so they don't actually have a real spring mattress. Oh. They don't have a good Tempur-Pedic, it's just foam.
Oh, honey, no memory foam, no... Honey,
there's too many.
You gotta invest in it. It's a good investment, though. I think they would need
$1,000 per person every bed, and there's $1 billion.
Well, really?
No, there's only 500 people.
Oh, I was like, what the? I was like,
that's still $500,000 that they would have to donate to specifically Tempur-Pedic mattress.
You're right. Well, maybe they can be sponsored by Tempur-Pedic. So, okay, so faux mattresses, which is sad in itself.
They wear matching uniforms that all the time. So it's not just like while they're working. It's like 24/7. They look the same.
Okay.
So
that's creepy. Oh, I don't like that. That's creepy.
They wear long dresses with headscarves. Men wear royal blue trousers paired with baby blue shirts. So it's like very blue. And women wear full-length navy frocks with white headscarves. Headscarves are to symbolize submission to men.
Okay.
That's what we're supposed to do, Janine.
Okay.
Janine.
Okay.
You need to submit to your man. Despite this traditional gender role situation, women were often told that women who cry are weak and that these women should endure their pain. Women are also discouraged from pursuing anything higher than a tertiary level of school, which I just think it's really interesting that if they cry, it's like you're a freaking weak person. And it's like, well, but like, aren't you saying women are weak?
I don't like it.
I'm just like, it seems like hypocritical.
You're like, if you're going to be sexist like this,
you need to be consistent.
consistent.
I'm literally like, I'm okay. It's fine. If you're saying someone's gonna take care, I don't want to be forced to do it, but okay. But like, maybe someone take care of me, whatever. But like, I don't get to cry.
But I'm weak. You say I'm weak.
That's my thing is, but I cry all the time.
You're like, what?
That's all I want.
What do you really want from me? What do you really see me as?
All I want to do is stress cry every day. It's my favorite hobby. It's the only thing I enjoy. I stress cry once a week, and it's the best.
Well, don't we all though? I
mean,
it's the biggest release. Like, really, just cry.
Honestly, it's such a good feeling to just lay in bed. Your back does that thing where it suddenly just releases, and then you just sob into a pillow. And you go, why am I even crying? And you don't know. And that's
But you
fine.
feel better afterwards. That's the thing about stress crying, is it's never nice, but then afterwards, you can, like, it is nice afterwards. Because then you're a little bit more chill.
Yes.
Okay.
Their book, What We Believe, is essentially their second Bible and really works to interpret the work of the Bible in order to delineate what the group believes. They also followed the King James onlyism, stating that the King James version of the Bible is the only legitimate English language Bible version. And you can check out their booklet online. We can leave a link below if you're curious in looking at it. There's nothing especially problematic in the booklet itself except for what I just basically delineated. The King James...
I feel like we're going to find most of the problems in the people itself.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like it's just, up to this point, it's just kind of like very fundamentalist, like pure
and there's
Christian.
Here's the thing, as long as you're not hurting anyone, there's nothing wrong with that in itself. And like, I mean, I do say broadly, as long as you're not hurting anyone, which means like, don't punish someone if they're like, I disagree with you, Mom. I don't think I'm a Christian. Like, can I leave? Like, don't be like, I'm gonna shun you for the rest of your life. Like, that's still hurting someone. But it's like, if you're just going to practice what you believe and be outspoken about it, that's totally fine. Everyone has an opinion. Everyone has thoughts. I have no problems with that. I'm a Christian. Like, it's cool.
Yeah.
But, like...
It's when it gets culty, and I have a feeling it's going to get some kind of weird kind of controlling or bullshittery, so...
Let's see. Okay. So, James Ben Cannon, who left Gloriavale with his family in March of 2015, told Radio Live that the real reason that he left was because the community leaders always taught the members that the only way to live as a Christian was within the compound. So it's basically like, you can't leave and be a Christian.
Okay. And you're only a Christian if you're in the compound.
Yeah. Okay. He had heard other preachers outside Gloriavale on the internet and knew that was not true. The leaders also told members that no one else taught Christianity the way they did. Not true, because he stole everything from Billy Graham.
Yeah.
You are not allowed to question, and if you do, you are put down pretty quickly. So that's what James Ben Cannon said. They also have some interesting beliefs/practices. Some of them are not culty, they're just interesting, especially if you're not as familiar with fundamentalism. So they do not celebrate Christmas because it is based on the ancient Roman celebration on 25th of December for the rebirth of the sun god and the unscriptural ceremony of Mars.
I mean... Christmas wasn't a Christian holiday.
I mean, they're right.
So, I mean, you're right.
And, like, Jesus really wasn't born in December. He was born in the spring.
Yeah. So, okay.
Because you wouldn't have cattle roaming in the winter. Then They name the weekdays and months numerically as the normal names glorify pagan gods. Because, like, Wednesday is Odin's Day.
Oh, yeah.
Wednesday comes from Odin's Day, and then there's a bunch of other ones that are like that with the days of the week. So they're just all like, we call them 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
Are you really? Are you really? I just said, are you really?
So, and then the weekdays, because January is also a god.
Yeah, I was going to say.
So they call the months 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Yeah.
That's weird. Okay.
It's all numerical.
Okay.
They do not wear wedding rings. They do not keep special days such as birthdays and anniversaries. That's something you actually see in, like, Jehovah's Witnesses as well. That's less weird. It just gets very fundamentalist.
Right.
They name children to inspire them towards certain behaviors. So they name them, like, hopeful.
Oh,
and,
hopeful?
like, faithful and dutiful servant.
No.
And they wear modest clothing and do not adorn themselves with jewels, etc. That's pretty normal. Yeah. Just if you don't know what fundamentalism looks like, I thought that might be
We live in the South. We know what it is. So
yes. Courtship also looks in a following way. So they do this special thing called courtship. So as you might have guessed, they don't date. So there's like this special, very old-fashioned way that they pick like potential suitors and like husbands. So it's basically the man must pray and seek God's. This is from the handbook. The man must pray and seek God's will with his parents and leaders before approaching his bride. So he has to talk it through with leaders and his parents and her parents before he ever approaches the bride. The couple then refrains from any physical contact at all during their courtship, which may last only a few weeks. Couples hold hands for the first time as they make their vows, and then embrace and kiss for the first time with great love and feeling. That's from the book, The Prelude to Marriage, and then they get married. The handbook explicitly delineates this order in terms of hierarchy within the community. God, church leaders, men, women, children. Neville Cooper, who is the founder of the organization, as I was talking about names, he eventually changes his name to Hopeful Christian.
Straightforward.
He encourages people in the community to also change their names to values they aspire to uphold, like Temperance Hopeful and Steve Stand True. So women have to do massive amounts of work. So this is where it gets kind of incredibly problematic. They cook in collective areas and do massive amounts of laundry for everyone in the commune. And no one is paid for their labor. There is no wage. Like, everyone just makes money for the commune, and the commune gets all the money, and no one knows where any of the money goes. You're given food, schooling, etc., and you don't get to handle any of your money. There are also very specific gender roles, and your job in that society is dictated by that gender role. So women are domesticated housewives, and men work in the farm and dairy and hunting businesses. They're supposed to be providers. Women are not allowed to wear makeup, jewelry, pants, etc. Women cannot be breadwinners. Women do not have equal rights to men. Explicitly, women's job is to submit to men. If a man said something, women cannot question their authority at all. God. Fun fact. The costumes for The Handmaid's Tale are inspired by all the clothes worn in Gloriavale.
Oh my god. Dude, that's crazy. This place is crazy. It's already getting weird.
It's gonna get weird. Okay. So we're gonna get to the criminal part of it in a little bit.
Criminal part.
So children members of Gloriavale are totally isolated with very little interaction with outside society unless it is a doctor or a dentist. So they are actually allowed to meet with healthcare professionals, which is actually kind of unusual for fundamentalism. But anyway. They also have an annual concert. There are creative acts, etc. You can find video of it online. They showcase to outsiders their way of life to provide a testimony. And that's the extent of their interaction with outsiders. In general, there is no television, no radio. If media is to be shown, then the movies must be edited. Music has to be controlled. Leaders decide what media is allowed to be seen, and you aren't allowed to leave the geographical location of Gloriavale unless that you get permission.
I hate that.
Which automatically becomes like culty, because it's like you're born into this, and they're saying like if you leave, if you see any media from outside of here, it's like you're gone. They're like, VeggieTales, great. That's fine. But like
VeggieTales for everyone.
I mean, I agree.
I love VeggieTales. I can get with it. Yeah, I can get
I don't know if they actually like VeggieTales. They might find it like kind of witchcrafty that they're attacking vegetables.
Oh. Well, what do you think that they watch then?
Billy Graham preaching.
Maybe some like Joel Osteen.
No, because they're like told that like other places don't preach Christianity like they do, so I don't even think that's allowed.
What do you think that they watch then?
Comment down below what you think they watch and send it to us.
Little House on the Prairie, do you think?
Laura writes a book.
But do you think that, I mean, that's a pretty PG book.
But she writes. Oh,
you're right. So it can only be like...
She does something that's not very womanly, which is being illiterate.
So that, ooh, yike.
Maybe like Lonesome Dove. It's a cowboy book. That's a porno wrapped in a Christian novel. Don't even get me started.
That comes up every once in a while. Someone will mention Redeeming Love, and I'm like, huh.
It's porn.
It's porn. So that's probably not on the book list.
Maybe it is. I feel like the fundamentalist Christians that always suggested that book to me must have not realized it was porn. Like, maybe they were like, when it's in God's love, it's not porn. But I'm like, it's still describing sex acts.
Yeah.
Just because you frame it in a biblical sense don't mean it ain't sex. And that you're not lusting over this male character, which is not inherently good.
Maybe that's what like the husband and wives read. Maybe that's the one.
If you read it with your husband.
Maybe that's their porn. Do you think?
Reads a book out loud. It's like, honey.
Honey.
So they have on-premise schools. They have on-premise schools, so you don't have to leave. And those schools are registered with the New Zealand government, and all children are given the minimum requirement of education, so they are educated. However, women are told to know their place. We can insert actually an interview by Lilia Tarawa in which she talks about how she was publicly shamed for her leadership skills as a woman. On her report card, she was basically given feedback saying that like, wow, she's such a good leader. She's such a good leader. And her grandfather saw this and literally like was so upset with her and shamed her publicly in front of all of her family and friends.
Oh my God.
And was essentially just all like, women shouldn't be leaders. This is bad. And it's like, this was her teacher praising her.
No way. Oh my God.
Yeah.
That's so gross.
And it's part of the idea that women need to know their place, and if they step out of line, they're quickly put back into line quickly. You're the person to blame if a man lusts after you, and women are inherently less than men. You're to obey and to submit, and if you want to be a female vet or a mechanic or anything that's masculine, you wouldn't be allowed. Choice is not a factor at all.
It's just a no.
However, many of the people who live there would likely assert that they are choosing to live in this way and that everyone there is of their free will. However, Neville Cooper's son Michael left the community when he was 16 years old.
Oh my God.
The death of his mother, who he had not seen for years, had a pretty hard impact on him. The death of Gloria.
Oh, okay.
Michael committed suicide on the same day that his father was committed to stand trial for indecent assault in Christchurch court.
No! The guy who started this, right? Is what you're saying?
Gloria died, who was the wife of Neville Cooper. And Neville Cooper is set to stand trial for indecent assault.
Oh my God.
And Michael, his son, commits suicide pretty quick after.
Right.
So, Neville's other son, Phil, was a headstrong teenager. He left Gloriavale and moved to Australia. However, without the support of his community or siblings, he later returned at 16 and tried to be obedient. That's why when people say it's like everyone's there of their own choice, it's like, okay, but what if you want to leave? Right. You're suddenly alone. Your family can't talk to you. It's like there's punishment.
Right.
And it's like that. It's that you're not giving someone a totally free option.
No. Trigger warning. This is some weird.
It gets
sexual stuff.
Molesty. So, a lot of it's not great. Okay, so Phil says that he used that the use of sexual images and movies were prevalent among the men. He said he had to endure watching his wife be fondled by his father, and young girls were sometimes told to join community elders in hot tubs. So basically, there's this huge problem within Gloriavale of sexual assault of minors. So at 27, Cooper left the compound and his family, Phil did. He was told by community leaders that he was banned from having any communication with his family. He then resolved to kidnap his family so that they could live with him, because he was basically like, well, I'm going to see my kids.
Yeah.
I'm going to see my wife. Like, this is ridiculous. So he slips back into the compound grounds and stole his sleeping children and his wife away. The family moved around New Zealand, hiding from cult followers who followed them around until they fled to the US and then eventually to Australia. Phil's wife, Sandra, went right back, and like, because she didn't want to be with him, I guess. And then Phil actually stole her back 2 other times, thinking she was just like brainwashed, which she probably was.
Right.
And then she literally went right back, believing that her children could only get into heaven if one parent was in Gloriavale.
Oh, honey.
So it's like one of those things, and there's interviews with her, and she's very holier than thou and very like happy in her choice.
Yeah.
And I'm hesitant to use quotes because I think she genuinely is happy. But it is like one of those weird, like, she will probably never see her children again.
But if that's all she knows, you know?
Yeah.
Oh, honey.
So, in 1995, this is the really triggering part. Neville Cooper was jailed for almost a year on sexual abuse charges. He was convicted based on testimony of his son and of a young woman who had fled the compound. Neville Cooper changed his name to Hopeful Christian. The woman he assaulted is a woman known as Yvette Olson. In 1995, he was convicted of 3 counts of indecently assaulting Olson while she lived at the Springbank Christian Community. She was allegedly penetrated with, this is big trigger warning, if you have a history of sexual assault, this is not great. Or if it makes you very uncomfortable, totally reasonable, fast forward. Or don't watch. I do not blame you. Your mental health is more important than a video.
Yes.
She was allegedly penetrated with a wooden object and encouraged to use the object on herself. Neville Cooper is a convicted sex offender. And people at Gloriavale do not know of this case or why Cooper was imprisoned. They think it was because he was defending Christ's word.
No.
Neville Cooper is not the only one in Gloriavale accused of sex crimes. Former members of the community have come forward with accusations of brainwashing, physical punishment, and sexual abuse, including against girls as young as 12 years old. Ex-members also say that those under the age of 16 cannot decide to leap for themselves and allege the practice of sexual abuse of girls by older men. The official new report, which was an investigation done by New Zealand on Gloriavale, alleges the following. 1. 5 women who left Gloriavale were victims of sexual assault. 2. Allegations that community members and women from outside the community have been sexually assaulted by the same alleged offender. There are claims that Gloriavale leadership were aware of the allegations, blamed the victims, and failed to take action. 3. Community members were beaten and struck with objects by parents, teachers, and elders. 4 of these allegations were from people who had been beaten and struck themselves. So Lilia Tarawa talks about how she witnessed a young boy be totally beaten in class once, by a teacher. Just totally decimated. No, I'm sorry, by his father. Totally decimated.
My God.
4, members were compelled and coerced to work excessive hours and given no choice over allocated jobs. 5, if leadership considered that someone had broken community rules, they would be summoned to a servants and shepherds meeting. The report stated that former female members alleged that the leadership in these meetings would refer to them as sluts, whores, and evil. 6, bank accounts were set up in members' names without their consent or knowledge. 7, members were coerced into signing a document that hands over their assets to Gloriavale. Men are often groomed to have underage sex in Gloriavale. Neville Cooper once famously said, "You've got children, you call them children, that are 12 years old, 13 years old. A girl, she's capable of being a mom. Is she a child? To us, yes, she's called a child, but really she's a woman now. She's capable of being a mother."
No.
So he radically and
so gross.
emphatically supports this idea that these 12 and 13-year-old girls are women.
No.
And can then consent to having sex. Well, he doesn't really care if they consent. But also there's some weird stuff where kids grow up sharing a bedroom with their parents and are present when their parents are having sex for all of their young lives. If members do not want to conform or want to leave, then there's tons of mental pressure. If someone wanted to leave and spoke to the leaders about it, they would be asked to attend a meeting with about 12 to 15 leaders who would try to talk them out of it forcefully. The pressure caused Ben Cannon to leave at night secretly, taking only a few clothes and some blankets. Some other families have been separated when one had been talked into staying and the others had left. All members must sign a form to give all their money to the Gloriavale Trust or they are not allowed to get married. Everyone has a bank account, but no one knows how much is in it. When Ben, who I previously mentioned, and his family left, they discovered they only had $5 in their bank account.
Oh my God.
So old-fashioned corporal punishment is encouraged in Gloriavale. They will often beat and whip their children with a metal strap. Girls may also be forced to fast if they're putting on weight. so forced into like disordered eating. Women were also married to much older men. Many girls were expected to be married by the age of 16 to older men. They were then expected to bear children relatively soon after marriage. At the age of 16, many of the women were made to make a vow to Neville Cooper during the commitment ceremony. In this ceremony, they are asked to promise to submit to the males, look after the home, and remain meek, modest, and pure. You must also renounce adultery, divorce, birth control, and abortion. So they are known by some outsiders as Cooperites because his name is Neville Cooper. The group rejects his name and refers to themselves as only Christians. The community...
Oh my God.
Yeah. The community attempts to uphold the example of the first Christian church of Jerusalem, which is listed in Acts 2:41 through 47. Those who accepted his message were baptized, and about 3,000 were added to their number that day. They devoted themselves to the apostles' teaching and to fellowship, to the breaking of bread and to prayer. Everyone was filled with awe at the many wonders and signs performed by the apostles. All the believers were together and had everything in common. They sold property and possessions to give to anyone who had need. Every day they continued to meet together in the temple courts. They broke bread in their homes and ate together with glad and sincere hearts, praising God and enjoying the favor of all the people. And the Lord added to their number daily those who were being saved, which in itself is not bad. That's just a communal living style.
Right.
That's essentially like, let's have a kind of, it's almost a socialist program because it's basically like everyone's selling their property and possessions to people that need it, and they're meeting together and they're just like helping. But taking the money from the people and also like,
yeah,
I won't get into it, but I thought it was interesting to bring up this verse in comparison to what this cult is actually doing.
Right.
The community earns its income from several ventures, including dairy farming and the manufacturing of gardening products made from sphagnum moss. They also run deer and sheep farms, as well as charter scenic flights from Greymouth with their company Air West Coast.
That's so random.
It's so weird. I saw that and I was literally like, they have a air charter?
That's
what?
Weird. Okay then.
So those who leave the community are shunned and denied contact with family members, as I said before. A Christian cult watching group refers to Gloriavale as a cult both theologically and sociologically. The organization continues saying theologically this group is a cult of Christianity, as its theology as well as its practices based on that theology places it well outside the boundaries of the Christian faith. So if you're wondering why this isn't so extreme, it doesn't have to be, but also it's gonna get worse.
Oh my God, no, that wasn't it.
It's gonna get worse. Let me tell you a story. In 2016, a 14-year-old girl with Down syndrome named Prayer Ready died choking on a piece of meat in the Gloriavale Christian community while shut in an isolation room. The community utilizes a hut known as an isolation room to punish certain members or to perform illness-related separation. So if you're sick and they need to separate you from the group. The isolation room has door handles disabled to prevent people getting in and people escaping. The girl choked on her dinner, and the family was placed in the hut due to stop her younger brother's infection from spreading after he had been hospitalized due to infection. So she wasn't even put there for her. It was because her brother was sick. So Coroner Elliott, who was the medical examiner in that area, eventually ruled that this was a tragic accident, that the inability for people to enter or exit the room did not contribute to the girl's death, as there was an accessible window.
No.
I'm like, wow, window. Like, let me climb while I'm choking to death. When I can't, I'm like, what am I going to do? I get out the window? I can't open or close the door anyway.
Why did they put the boys in there? Why was she...
Do I know? I don't know. So after Prair's death, Gloriavale stopped disabling the doors to the isolation rooms. Wow, change. Should have thought about that. Okay, the organization also began training on using magical forceps to remain foreign objects and obtained a pair of forceps to remove things from the throat. So fixed it, I guess. A wide-ranging government investigation started in 2015 and has led to a number of charges, while a police investigation is ongoing with no charges yet laid. The government of New Zealand believes there's a sexual predator active in the Gloriavale community. Well, no shit.
No, all of them. What? I'm sorry. Neville himself, thanks.
Wow, crazy. However, action against the organization has not occurred. These allegations were made during an 18-month charity services investigation into the Christian Church Community Trust that governs the religious community. The investigation began in April 2015 following media reports about the increase of people leaving Gloriavale. Wow, shocking. And their allegations of sexual and physical abuse, forced marriage, forced separation of families, and a controlling environment. Further, apparently...
I
also Apparently there were also claims of unfair work conditions. Like, that's like a side note.
You don't say.
I just really like that. It's like, but also there were unfair work conditions.
Additionally,
they worked excessive hours. The New Zealand government only released the following required actions after the discovery of the cult. So this is pretty problematic, in my opinion.
Amongst many other problematic things as well.
So this is what New Zealand said after the filing of the charges. The cult must make a formal policy to deal with sexual and physical assault complaints. Wow, that will fix things. They must hold proper board meetings. They must appoint 2 external advisors to its board. They must no longer open or operate personal bank accounts for its members without member knowledge. That's useful.
Yeah.
They could no longer force members into an isolated hut as punishment. I just really like the fact they had to state that explicitly.
They were like, if we don't state it, then you're not going to stop. You might just keep doing it.
Oh my God.
Wow.
Okay.
Wow.
They must make it easier for members to leave Gloriavale and stay in touch with those inside. And they must not donate. I just really like this last one. And they must not donate to a church with similar beliefs in India. They own a church in the southern Indian state of Tamil Nadu, where they aim to build a congregation similar to the one in Gloriavale, which everyone's worried will just turn into Jonestown. And they're like, no.
They're like, to a specific other congregation in India. You know which one we're talking about. You don't get to do that.
They're like, no.
No.
So as of 2015, 65 people have left this tightly controlled community.
Oh, only 65. Whenever it starts to get culty for me is whenever it's like, if you can't leave without being shunned or not having access to the inside, then that's kind of like, that's one of the lines
You're trying to ruin someone's life.
Yeah.
And like, you're trying to make it so that they are emotionally barred from leaving.
And whenever it's just all consumed in itself and nothing else, that's kind of the line for me whenever I definitely...
I agree. And like, I think like, obviously, I think the thing that drew me to this is specifically the sexual assault allegations. I think that's incredibly interesting, especially because the cult is not aware that their leader... has been charged with sexual assault, and specifically of a minor.
And I can rant about this too, because I think both of us can say, because both of us are Christians, I think both of us can say that these people who kind of set themselves out to be Christians in any means of the word is just really gross. Like, it really is.
If you sexually assault someone, or do anything that's like pretty heinous in that way. And I think sexual assault is especially toxic within the Christian community, because I think any religion in which, like, for instance, abstinence is highly supported, not just supported, it's considered a big requirement with the Christian faith. But I think something that's hard is sexual assault is not actually specifically addressed in the Bible. And I think when you are a church leader and you sexually assault someone, especially a minor who may not know it's not their fault, you put them in the situation where they think they're a sinner and then they've done something wrong. And we already have enough of that kind of air going around without Christianity getting involved. It's like, victim blaming doesn't need the Bible, and Jesus Christ was not a victim blamer. I mean, literally, the woman at the well who was actually an adulteress, who actually like slept with the law of men, which like I have no problem with, but that's like the Bible, quote like quote unquote. And like, he immediately was just like, girl, just go and sin no more. Like, he was like, who amongst you have not sinned? Throw the first stone. And so like, for me, I'm like, even so, Christ understands. So when fundamentalist leaders get involved in such violent crimes like this, and also manipulate young girls into thinking that they're the problem, that they're the sinner, that they caused this, that's when I start having a real issue. Because literally, like, the word sin gets into your skin. Like, so like, thinking that you really screwed up, that you are like this gross whatever.
No, I agree with that for sure. It is just really gross, and that the fact that it just lives on like that, and like no one does anything about it, and it's perpetuated, is just it's so icky. It really is so very icky, and I don't like that they're doing this in the name of like Christianity is just really gross to me.
It'd be gross
but
no, it'd be gross with any
ways,
religion too. It's like using religion, which is normally most religions preach a lot of love and compassion.
Yeah,
like it's one of my big pet peeves with Islam is that when you actually like research Islam, it's a very peace-loving religion, and like when people use the name of Islam to commit horrible atrocities, it's horrible.
Yeah.
And it's disgusting and it's gross and it doesn't represent the people of that faith.
The same
and it's the same thing with Christianity. When you use the Bible to justify criminal behavior, that's disgusting. Because that's not what the Bible says. That's not what it is. Like,
wow, I was like already be like awesome goofy crimes. We're gonna get goofy, and then I was like, no,
it's horrible.
Kaylin always brings it. She do.
I like to hurt people.
I was talking about the goofy sex cult where
Congregation for the Light was a goof.
Congregation for the Light was a goof. Zindig Farms is weird.
I think we escalated.
We did escalate.
We went from the dumbest bullshit.
Yeah.
That like doesn't really hurt that many people, but it is isolation. It is isolating and they like ruin lives, but like you could leave kind of. But like, and then we went to like don't leave, and then we went to like crimes and horrible bullshit.
That's gross.
So this series escalated. It's a really good swoop.
It flew away.
Swoop. Like
with
the
owl.
From Congregation of the Light.
We're adorable. Hi. Okay, so bye.
Wait, no. We have to say our social medias.
You're better at this because I forget all the things.
That's all I have for you today.
You killed it.
Thank you. Do you mean I illed it? No, olt.
I guess this kind of wraps up our
mini-series that we're doing. We'll probably continue
We'll probably come back to it. This was just what we have planned at the moment.
We love cults. We'll probably come back. I think it's been my favorite stuff to film so far.
The cults are fun. They're fun. And they're shorter and they're easier to edit. So
they're also easier to research.
They are. Very true.
They're just all in like one location.
And you don't have to get so emotionally invested and then cry.
Like this one was sad, but it's like I don't feel as if I felt as like, oh God, because like no one died.
Yeah.
Like sexual assault is horrible, and I can say this as like I'm a victim of sexual assault.
Yeah.
And it's like one of those things where I'm like, it's the worst, and I can say that because I've been there. But it's like murders.
No one died.
Objectively worse.
No young boys were sexually assaulted and then killed.
Exactly. So, it's the combo deal that's fucking horrible.
I'm getting stressed out thinking about it. So
let's stop.
So Facebook, Instagram.
Like, rate, subscribe, leave a message. Hit that. Was that the bell notification? Do you want to hit it so you know when we post a new video? Punch that bell icon. As Sophia Nygaard would say, smash.
Smash it.
Smash it. So that's it. That's all we got. Bye.